Hello and welcome to Diminishing Returns. This is part 2 of our review of all the films from 2021, and of course we've already done part 1 of that, so go back and listen to that one if you haven't already. That included reviews of the likes of Godzilla vs. Kong and Mortal Kombat, so lots of fun to be had there. We're jumping in here with our review of Space Jam: A New Legacy. Do please enjoy.
Well, what about Space Jam 2? As we know, Calvin loves animation. He's all about that Space Jam. So he, of course, will have seen the fusion of Looney Tunes and basketball that we were all clamouring for. Yeah. Is that right, Calvin?
No, I spoke to you about it and you said it was awful, so I didn't go anywhere near it. Didn't you? Someone told me it was awful.
I think I said it was surprisingly not that bad. I mean...
Oh.
Well, let's hear the clip. Ooh.
I was going to give you my broad strokes opinion. Before I do that, I'm going to tell you how this film was received generally.
Yes, please.
It was met with vitriolic hate by general audiences.
All right.
You know, a lot of 1 out of 10, 1 out of 5 ratings anywhere you look for audience ratings of things.
That's a little bit surprising. It's certainly not that bad. Is that just because people think the original Space Jam is good? And
it's because people are stupid, yeah.
Nostalgia, yeah.
Yeah, it has 4.4 on IMDb. And so my broad... Poor. That's very, very... For this kind of a film as well, you know, that is bad. My broad strokes opinion is this is a worthy sequel to Space Jam. Space Jam wasn't a good film, and Space Jam was
manifest.
Capitalism manifest. Yeah.
This is democracy.
Is that
manifest.
What I said in the episode? Gentlemen, this is capitalism manifest. But that was Space Jam. Space Jam was the 90s run amok, out of control. It was a shoe commercial that got funding to be turned into a feature-length film.
It felt to me like trying to recapture the magic, and you're just not going to do it. Because Space Jam is not good, but there's something about it. There's a reason it's held on to its place in culture as this weird little nostalgic thing, and it's more by look than design. It's just a kind of a weird little relic of the 90s. Whereas it's like trying to create that again, and also they're really trying hard. It's like they've certainly at least embraced the animation element of it. That was definitely an improvement.
Yes. What I really liked was the briefly toyed with idea of editing the Looney Tunes into classic scenes from the Warner Brothers archive. But it was done really well, you know. It was nice seeing all these classic scenes from films all, you know, digitally touched up on the big screen.
Mad Max,
guess you didn't get
Fury
that.
Road.
Yeah, well, that's normal. And it was nice having these characters animated in there and having a bit of fun with it. I shouldn't have found it as funny as I did, but I really laughed when Austin Powers turned up and Sylvester was Mr. Bigglesworth or whatever. Elmer Fudd's Dr. Evil, isn't he? Or they're both.
Me.
But that was good fun, and it was inventive. All the stuff in the real world is appalling, by the way. It's dreadful, badly acted, apart from your Sarah Silvermans who were in there just, you know, doing what they can.
Yeah, but she's not exactly good acting, is it? She's just doing...
Yeah, but she's doing a solid comedic performance. Then, basically, LeBron James gets sucked into a computer like Tron, has an argument with Don Cheadle, who's playing Al G. Rhythm, which is the worst name for a character in any film ever.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
And Don Cheadle is pouring his heart and soul into his performance in this film.
Yes.
He is giving it his all.
Yes.
And it just made me feel really bad for him whenever he was on screen.
Because he's the only one trying.
I got really bummed out. It's like, you're really trying. What did you think this film was going to be?
But I do feel like, with all due respect to Don Cheadle, perhaps that character needed an actor with a real...
He was miscast.
spark of personality, such as, say, a Jim Carrey, a Will Smith. Robin Williams would have brought something to that. Do you know what I mean? Like someone who is going to bring something completely wacky to it without being, but still understanding the constraints you need to work within.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to get weirdly positive about the film here because I was not expecting this to be a Looney Tunes movie. The first Space Jam is a Michael Jordan movie with the Looney Tunes making cameos in it, really. It's a real this is a proper Looney Tunes back in action. It's all about Bugs Bunny's arc, really. He's got quite a lot of story in this film. And they spent a lot of time in 2D hand-drawn animation mode, which I wasn't expecting at all. And all that stuff that's hand-drawn animation is not only good, dare I say great, it's really nicely animated, which I didn't get a sense of at all in the trailers, but the animation is really fluid, properly captures the style of the Looney Tunes while modernizing it, that kind of manic, cartoony, elastic energy. Even when they went to the 90s Superman cartoon, and once again completely captured the essence of that 90s Superman cartoon. And it was just really nice to see it on the big screen. I loved all the animated stuff. And I genuinely, I was having a great time for the duration of the film while it was hand-drawn animation, when they were going collecting
until they started
the
playing
team.
Basketball.
Yeah, then halfway through the film, they start the big basketball match, which is the third act of the film, and then the film stops dead in its tracks, and it's awful. And, what happens? They play a game, the computer cheats, but, within the parameters of the rules, it just maxes out all the characters to be super strong. Then the kid has a change of heart because he loves his dad. They go back to the real world because they win the match, is that right? Or they trick Algae Rhythm into...
Something like that, yeah. Algae Rhythm grooms this child for an hour and then, gets angry at him and loses his love.
I didn't hate this film. I was happy to sit through it. I actually enjoyed a lot of it. So I gave it a 5 out of 10, which I think is what I gave the first Space Jam.
I gave it a 6.
Really?
Yeah, because I think it was just, it's a kid's film.
I think it's really
it's not for
watchable
me.
film.
It's just,
it
was just a perfectly whatever film.
I also really enjoyed at the start of the film seeing a kid in the 90s playing on a Game Boy, and the game they're playing, I believe, is Bugs Bunny in Crazy Castle or something, which was a very prolific Game Boy franchise.
What I liked about that was this kid just came and was like, "Oh, I've got a new Game Boy, you can have this." And it was like, and it obviously wasn't a big deal to either of them because he chucks it in the bin as a gift. So, how fucking rich are these kids? I didn't have a Game Boy when I was that age. I mean, that's just rude for a start. But obviously the kid who gives it to him doesn't give a shit. He's just like, "Oh, do you want this?" It's not even a big deal. Game Boys were a fucking big thing in 1996.
Yeah, and a kid that age, you didn't, I was devastated when I dropped my Game Boy Color down the stairs. I remember my... Probably the most illegal thing my mum's ever done is I dropped my Game Boy Color down the stairs as a kid and it broke. It just stopped working. And my mum bought a new Game Boy Color from Toys R Us.
Put the old one in the box
Game
and
Boy
took
Color
it back.
in the box and took it back. And I remember being in Toys R Us for a long time while she was arguing with the staff to get a refund because they were obviously having none of it. But she did
they were
get
this
a
has
refund.
obviously been used for about 6 months.
Yeah, it was all scuffed on the back and stuff, but they gave a refund and, it worked.
Oh, dear me. Did she try and send you off to look at games and stuff so that you didn't see her shame, or did she?
It's really, I don't know why she did that because it's so.
Did it change your view of your mother? Was that the turning point?
No, it's weird because that's so out of character for my mum to do.
A lot of money.
Well, that's it. I think we didn't, it was single parent income. That is really weird that she did that. It's so not something she would do normally, but I guess I was really upset. Yeah, needed a new Game Boy. She had
to get you another one. She had to get her little Solly Boy another Game Boy Color.
I'm trying to think of the most fraud I've ever committed.
What about when you got that? You won some sort of Subway animation thing. What was that?
No, I read the rules. I saw a very glaring loophole and I exploited it. They should have written up a better set of standards for but it was obviously written up by people who weren't familiar with YouTube. I was, 20.
So did you actually win?
Yeah.
What did you get? What did you scam out of them?
I got £1,000 cash.
Woo!
I got a PlayStation 3 and a game, SingStar game, and a microphone, which, nice. I didn't use that. And I think I got something else that I didn't care about.
Free sandwich?
It probably was like 20 quid in Subway vouchers or something, but...
£1,000 cash, though, that's worth selling out for when you're 20.
I've only just traded up from that PS3 this year when I got a PS5. That's my Blu-ray player for the last however many years. That PS3 has done me well. So yeah, £1,000 and a PS3. That £1,000, Alan, is probably more or less how I was able to comfortably move down to London with, you and Sean in the first place. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Calvin, aren't you contractually obliged to see animate, at least the large scale?
No, because it's not. It's a rival company. It's Warner.
Yeah, I know, but you got to know what everyone else is up to. You got to know what's going on in the industry.
Svastika.
Oh dear. Go on then.
What?
Introduce part 3 of the music quiz in French.
Okay. C'est part 3, le quiz musique.
Sounded alright to me. Sounds right.
Yeah, that was fairly convincing.
Yeah, let's do that. This is another 4 original songs. So once again, point for the song, point for the film, point for the artist.
I'll wash away someday. No man you
Buzz. Okay,
right.
Look. I've never heard Billie Eilish, but that sounds like Saul's impression of Billie Eilish, where he just gasps a lot, like he's got asthma.
Oh, ding dong, it's Billie Eilish. Oh, yeah, I do have a new microphone, actually, Billy. Would you like to... Yeah. That's a really good song, that, Billy. Is that something you're working on? Well, it's got number 1 written all over it, that has. So, Sound of the Summer, that's going to be.
C'est magnifique.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks for popping by. Big fan.
So was that Billie Eilish then?
That was Billie Eilish, yeah. She's just watching The Office on her phone.
Stop putting clips in your songs. All right, so was Billie Eilish singing, right?
No.
Oh, damn it. I thought I might have got that. Okay.
I wondered what that was. I thought for a second I thought Saul had actually replicated a song with Billie Eilish's voice. Would you want to play the rest of the clip then?
Yeah, let's say the rest of it.
in my name, there is no life I trade. You are my reason to remain. And I will remain through comfort and pain.
It's not from that Aretha film, is it?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. I wondered if it might have been like their attempt at an original song Oscar by including an original song. But yeah,
it's actually a song called "Remain," which she does say in the lyrics there. It's by someone credited as Salika.
Why are you saying that with such suspicion?
Well, she goes by Salika, but would you like to know her full name?
Billie Eilish?
No, her actual full name is Salika Shyamalan.
Oh no, it's from Old. Oh god.
So of course that was the song "Remain" from Old, yes. Which by the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan. Wonder how she got that gig.
Maybe she auditioned under the name Salika and he didn't know it was her. He just heard the voice.
And he thought it was Billie Eilish.
Are we talking about that? Is that on the lineup?
No, so let's talk about it now.
Hooray!
I haven't seen it.
I think
it's
you'll like
awful.
it, Alan. I think Alan will like it.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah, probably.
I'll be honest. I had a blast at the cinema. Like, I enjoyed it.
Mm.
I don't think it's all bad, personally. I think you're very different on this front, Calvin. But I thought it took some gargantuan swings that I kind of respect it for taking. But it didn't
I'm
work.
stunned that you're so lax on it, really. I mean, I know that when it comes to Shyamalan, we've often... I seem to remember going way back to our M. Night episode that we had a bit of a debate about... You think he's more self-aware than I think he is, particularly when it comes to what he thinks is funny and what is funny in his films and all that kind of stuff. But I thought, like, for you, like, because you're very Mr. Logic when it comes to a lot of stuff, particularly with these kinds of concepts, and this one was all over the place with that. It made no sense
its own
at all.
internal rules, though, didn't it?
It didn't even do that.
Go on. Why not? What was...
I mean, it's a terrible film that I watched a few months ago, but I remember questioning about... There is a line in there, I think, about hair and nails and why they're not rapidly growing. And it was weird that the baby... Oh, okay, I'm not going to go into
the
spoiler
baby
territory,
thing was
but...
such nonsense. Yeah, that was such M. Night Shyamalan. What the fuck are you doing, for fuck's sake?
And then the magnets thing, like, it was really weird. I was like totally going with it as like, yeah, whatever. It's like it's a fable kind of thing. I'm fine with that. But then the last 10 minutes, for the most part, I was like, this is a bit shitty, but okay, 2 stars. But then the last like 15, 20 minutes or so was like made me furious.
Well,
really angry.
I didn't particularly care for the last 10 minutes either. I loved the basic setup. It felt very Twilight Zone-y. I thought it had some pretty effective, not scares, but...
Yeah, there was none of that.
Well, I found it quite unsettling. I thought it tapped into certain people. I don't know about you, Calvin. I find the finite nature of time very unsettling if I really stop and think about it and how we're all going to die one day. I don't like it. And
I agree.
And I thought on a technical level, I thought the cinematography was like incredible.
I thought it was disgusting.
Really?
I thought it was awful. Yeah,
I thought there was some amazing shots in there, and the makeup effects I thought were great.
Did he do a shot in a mirror?
No, I don't think he did. It's not a good film, but I don't think it's as bad as some people are. I'd probably put it in the top half of his filmography, honestly.
It's down there with The Happening for me. It's very close to that level.
All right, next song, I guess.
Healing the world with comedy, making a literal difference metaphorically.
Buzz.
Calvin.
Oh, wait, is it? It is Inside, Bo Burnham, right?
It is, well done.
Yes.
Is it a parody of the 80s or something?
Not really, that's just kind of what he does musically, I think. Care to take a stab at that song name, Calvin?
Oh God. Is it just healing the world with comedy? I don't know.
I mean, it's not, but I'll give you that. It's just comedy.
Oh.
You got the word there.
I liked some of the songs in it. I liked the Welcome to the Internet song. I thought that was good.
I really loved some of the songs. Yeah, not all of them, but I was very. It was very much the sort of thing that makes me depressed because it's like. There's no reason you couldn't have made this beyond like your lack of talent. Like that's, do you know what I mean? It's like things like that always upset me. Normally, I can sort of be like, well, you don't have rich parents, so it's all right. But anyway.
We don't talk about Bruno, no.
Buzz.
Go on, Calvin.
That is We Don't Talk About Bruno from Encanto, which I saw on Christmas Eve and loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I know it'll be Lin-Manuel Miranda that wrote it, but
I'll say that.
It's an ensemble, isn't it? So it's just most of the voice cast. Stephanie, Beatriz, I can't name anyone else. Yep, her.
I saw her on stage the other week. Very weird casting in that Ghost Story play that Lily Allen was in the first run of.
Well, I thought her casting in Encanto was a bit odd, considering she was playing like a 15-year-old girl, and I thought she was great in it. But I'm used to her voice in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where she obviously puts on a bit more of a tough sort of thing. So it took me a while to place her.
I've only just started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but it's still very much what I know her from. So to see her on stage where she doesn't talk or sound like that at all was like, oh wow, she's like actually acting on that show. Okay.
I hate when actors
Yeah.
do that. Just be yourself in everything, God's sake.
Yeah. I loved it. I love Lin-Manuel Miranda when he's kind of got a leash on him as a songwriter. And I think Disney are the one place where he'll like write a song and they'll go, come on, you can do a bit better than that. I think everyone else just goes, wow, Lin-Manuel Miranda, amazing. My name is Lin-Manuel Miranda and it is a song. And then Disney go, come on, this...
White it up a bit.
It's not good enough, and we need another draft. And he comes back, and that's why the songs are so much better in Encanto and Moana than everything else he's done. No, I loved it. The last 30, 60 seconds kind of ruined it, but other than that...
Yeah. I was happy to go with it, those last 30 seconds, because I just like that it was kind of breaking out of the mould of, and this isn't to slight the usual, but, you know, character is at home and wants more and then has to go on a road trip with
I
human
agree.
sidekick, a animal and a magical friend, and it's that usual thing. I kind of like that it felt smaller and more contained.
Yeah, completely. It was, I think I called it a domestic spin on the hero's journey or something like that, but it really felt intentionally like, right, we're keeping this at home, we're not going on some magical quest to a volcano or whatever, you know. And I really appreciated that. It made the family stakes kind of a lot more real, I guess.
Oh, I completely agree. And because there was a point in the film where I kind of realized, oh, she's not going away on an adventure or something like that. And it took some reconfiguring of my expectations, because that's what all these things are like. It's what most Pixar ones are like, isn't it? Just like road movies. But I
think it would have just been a very generic film if it had been that. So I was really pleased when I had the same thought of like, oh, okay, they're kind of keeping this at home. All right, there's one more song here for this round.
I saw a girl today. I saw a girl no way. I saw a girl today, and her name is Maria.
Oh, Buzz.
All right.
Oh, damn it.
It's gotta be West Side Story.
Yeah.
But that I don't know who's in it, but that was not a professional singer. That must be an actor.
Well,
oh God, was that Ansel Elgort?
Well, you've fallen into my trap, so I almost want to take a point off, but I didn't establish that I would do that beforehand. So no, it's not West Side Story.
It's a trick, a fake Maria.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say some more of it.
Saw a girl today, the one that got away. I saw a girl today, and her name is Maria.
So is this some sort of parody thing?
Yeah. And you're right, he's not a singer. He's barely even an actor.
He's a journalist. A wrestler.
I don't think you're going to get it. It's Eric Andre from that film Bad Trip, which was, of course, shot using the cinema unawarete style.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
It was basically like a hidden camera thing, and that was from one of the funnier moments in the film where he basically does like a big musical number, but like in public, so people are just like, "What the fuck?" What's this guy just like doing a big romantic song and dance in the middle of the shopping mall with backing dancers and stuff, which was a nice little comedic idea, I guess. That film, it leaked in 2020, but it is officially a 2021 release. All right, the next film, right?
Yeah. What are we up to?
Candyman.
All right, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Well, let's hear our thoughts before Calvin starts trampling all over it. So I went into this Candyman film pretty blind. Wasn't sure what to expect. I was interested to find that it is just a straight-up sequel to the previous Candyman films.
Yeah.
At least the first one, because I just thought they were going to kind of reboot it, but they've gone to great lengths to tie it in, and in quite a nice way, I thought.
I agree. I thought they were going to make it much more of it's a sequel, but anyone watching this who doesn't know any better would just think it was the first movie kind of thing. And it's not really. I think anyone watching this who's not familiar with Candyman would be a bit lost. They'd be like, what? Wait, who's that?
They basically get a backstory that you just kind of go, okay, well, I guess that's the backstory. I'll accept that. But for those in the know, that is the first film.
But all the cool kind of reveals and things, it's all paying off a connection with the first film. Which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I really enjoyed this film, and I loved the connection to the old film. I thought it was a great sequel. I don't know how much of that is just kind of cheap nostalgia, like, remember this film? I think it's all done organically, though. I think it's all justified.
I think it all tied in really nicely. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that at all. Let me kind of nutshell this for you. I found it perfectly watchable, and obviously it pulls in a lot of current political ideas.
Yeah, it's upset a lot of people.
Social ideas, I guess. I think that was a little bit on the nose, but but valid, fair.
Generally people who don't like the film fall into two camps, and they are, the dickhead rating everything 1 out of 10 brigade who don't like movies about black people or women, who will just get all their fake accounts up in arms. They've obviously come out to give it low ratings, and then also I think there's a fair few more casual moviegoers who are just like, all right, we get it. Stop beating us over the head with it.
Yeah, I think I fall into that second category slightly, but hopefully in a sort of legitimate way. But, I get it. It's not really aimed at me. It's not a story from my world. But I did really appreciate some elements of that. Yeah. I think just right at the end, where there's the policeman literally in the car with her and he's talking to her, it's like, that's a bit much. But for the most part, I was on board with it.
I totally was on board with it, in the same way that I'll get completely on board with like really angry rap music that's like, fuck the man, fuck the police, and that doesn't reflect how I feel, but I completely appreciate this as a work of art expressing something valid.
I don't know what it's like growing up in South Central LA. But I love the NWA.
Yeah, and I completely got on board with this film in that same way, where it's like, yeah, look, if anything, I'm part of gentrification. I certainly can't get on a high horse about that. But sure, I'll watch Candyman kill a load of white people. When I watched the movie, I didn't even realise that he was only killing white people until afterwards, when all the pissy, politically people were complaining about it. I thought it was visually beautiful, like, really well shot and constructed, both from a this is nice to look at point of view and from a there's a little bit of movement in that corner, was that something, what's over there, like an effective horror point of view. I thought it made better use of many of the concepts of Candyman than the first Candyman does, such as the whole mirror thing. Oh, well, now we're only going to see him in reflections, which isn't... I don't think that's something that ever happens in the earlier films, but it's such a nice visual element to, have people being killed by this invisible entity, but you can see him reflected in the mirror. That it's so cool, just visually.
Let me... What I had not exactly a problem, but just... that didn't work for me. It was everything about it, really, and this includes the visuals. It felt quite derivative somehow. It felt like I'd seen it all before, and it felt like someone had watched a Jordan Peele film and went, "Oh yeah, this is how people make horror films now. Let's just do that."
I kind of agree with you there, but I'm all right with that.
But that was just the one thing that kind of like left me cold slightly, just because of that. Even though it looked nice, I liked all the stuff they were doing with the not reflecting the camera in the mirrors and all that sort of stuff was nice work. But I think this is a logical conclusion of the political things that are brought up in the first film. And this actually feels like someone who knows what they're talking about exploring that, as opposed to someone from Liverpool writing it and then just translating it to Chicago or whatever. The idea of Candyman essentially being an embodiment of black oppression and they being there to protect the black man and the black community against the white oppressors. That is not in the first film. I will argue this, though. The first film doesn't make any sense. None of that really means anything. It's just a nonsense horror film. So I'm happy for them to put something into it.
I never quite got the idea of Candyman as like a savior of black people. I kind of took it more as these, arrogant white people playing with fire and getting themselves burnt. And then at the end, I kind of like the idea that a character is able to weaponize it. That's not to say that that is the point of Candyman. It's more like if in a zombie movie, someone was able to lead a stampede of zombies into the villain's house to defeat them. It's that
because
kind of
she is
thing.
his wife, right? She like the so maybe he's got that kind of. He's got his zombie memory of her former love.
Well, maybe, except it's Tony Todd at the very end, isn't it? When he comes and so...
Yeah, but that's just like a bit of nonsense, isn't it? Just...
Well, I don't know. I love that. The idea that Candyman is, no longer a singular entity. He's, a member of a hive. It was such a great way to tie it back into the whole bee thing in a way that makes it slightly less just all over the place. I think in our Candyman episode, we complain that it's a bit just like, oh, and there's bees and then there's a hook and this felt a bit more like, okay, that's connecting that properly there. And
so basically what we're saying is any problems with plot for this is because of the inherited nonsense from the first film. They've done their best to tie this all together.
I mean, basically, I really enjoyed it. Jordan Peele is known for being fucking heavy-handed these days, but I don't think he wants to be. Do you know what I mean? It's not his prerogative. He's making films that smash you over the head with what they're saying, and I'm okay with that. I don't see not everything has to be subtle.
Did you give it a rating?
Yeah, I give it an 8 out of 10, which is my highest rating for any Candyman movie to date.
Well, like I said, I basically enjoyed it. It was fine and watchable, but it was I just felt a little bit lackluster somehow. It just didn't grip me, put it that way. But it was perfectly good, and it certainly had some interesting points. And so I gave it a 7. Probably a fairly low 7, but, a 7.
Yeah.
And I'm not a horror fan, really. That's a pretty good score for me.
Oh, very positive.
Well, I can only add to the positivity. I loved it. I think it's my favourite 2021 release, to be honest.
I'm looking at my list of films here, and it's my third favourite. So, yeah. I see it's not gone down all that well, though, has it?
No, which I'm surprised
5.9
about.
on IMDb, yeah.
God, is that all?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really impressive, and it, had funny moments and stuff to break the tension. So I just thought it was, as a complete package, I thought it was really good. And yeah, a lot of the criticism that I've seen is like, oh, it's too stuffed full of ideas that it doesn't explore properly and all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of all right with it just being a bit of a smorgasbord, to be honest.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are some characters that come in and maybe aren't fully, there's that gay character and his partner, and they just kind of disappear from it. But I was kind of fine with it. They're just, amusing characters to come in when you need some levity, and I didn't need them to, necessarily serve a purpose. I don't know if they are just set up for sequels or what, but yeah, no, I thought it was absolutely terrific.
Can I just try something? Japanese Bond. Japanese Bond. Japanese Bond. Japanese Bond.
Oh, no.
Japanese Bond.
No, he's done it.
No.
Right, Laj. Oh, no.
Why did you do it? Why did you tempt fate?
I wanted to see if it was a real thing. Well, it is a real thing, Laj. Right?
I hope he guts you with a hook.
Right, Billy. Oh, Billy Eilish, the vet, is here. Watching
Billie
The Office.
Eilish, the vet. That's the worst improv line. There's no meaning behind it. It's not funny.
Yeah. Well, Billy's here watching The Office. Yeah, we're pals, aren't we, Billy? We like making music together, if you know what I mean. No Time to Die.
Run, Billy, run.
No, I'm just here, lads, to just saying thanks to Chris Gowan.
Chris what?
Chris Gowan. Thanks, Chris.
Gowan.
And
Irish.
And thanks Derek Brown. Who thanks you guys.
What are we
you
thanking them for?
Patreon subscribers. They're on the old Patreon there.
Nice.
listening to all those lads. They'll be listening to all the 40-minute full versions of these discussions that we've been going through today. All right, anyway, I've got to go off. It's Hogmanay. I know this episode is going out after that, but
is it
we're
very
recording
popular
it
in Japan? Is it?
beforehand. No, it's Japanese Hogmanay, innit? So what do they do over there? Probably eat some KFC or something like that. I don't know.
Kit Kat.
Yeah. All right. See you, Lash.
See ya.
Bye, Japanese Bond. That was interesting, wasn't it? So I guess anyone at home, if you want to try that, just say his name 5 times and he'll come out and thank some Patreon subscribers. All right. So next up, Matrix.
I went into this pretty blind. I think I might have seen the trailer, but I was surprised by just how kind of meta it all was.
We obviously covered the Matrix trilogy recently on the show, and I don't know, I've always found it quite a po-faced, serious kind of franchise, you know? It never really did anything with a wink and a nod, you know? It was always very, I don't know. So it was just bizarre to me that this film, for anyone who hasn't seen it and clearly doesn't care about spoilers because they're listening to this, the first half hour, 40 minutes of this film are this bizarre meta setup where Neo is...
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, he's back to being Mr. Anderson, and he's just living a normal life as the
He's annoyed
game...
about some boys whacking off in his trailer.
He's a game developer.
Well, the idea is he designed a game 20 years ago called The Matrix, and you know he's been coasting off that ever since.
No, he's not. He's been developing a new thing that they put on hold to make a new Matrix game. He made a trilogy of games called The Matrix. Has Lana Wachowski ever played a video game?
Well, I think
I get the
about the cutscenes.
Well, I get the impression that no character in this world seems to quite know what a video game is, because we see footage from the games and it's just live action footage of Keanu Reeves and whatever Trinity's called, Big Larry's there, and it doesn't. How hard would it have been to if not apply a kind of pixely filter to the footage to remake it in CGI? So it actually looks like
99 PS2 style.
Or you know, like, I can buy that in this world they made photorealistic graphics even. But the problem is you're presenting me with like quick edits and camera movements that would make a game completely unplayable. How the fuck would you control that game as it's presented when we see footage of it? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, Tom Anderson is a video game developer. He made a Matrix trilogy of games years ago. And then not Big Larry, Little Larry turns up. And they're like, hey, mate, you're in the Matrix. And he's like, what? And then Neil Patrick Harris is like, no, you're mental, mate. Take a pill. Take a blue pill. Obviously, we know he's in the Matrix again. It's like a weird meta trap they've constructed. But I must admit, I loved the idea of, is he actually just crazy?
Yeah, I think you can't go too far down that rabbit hole, dare I say, because of what's come before it. Yeah, I would have preferred a bit more. I
would have liked a whole film
like...
of that, really. And I think you probably could get away with that as much as you could get away with doing it for the first half hour, because lest we forget, The Matrix, it's this big philosophical movie that questions the nature of reality. So it kind of is in keeping to do that. And that's the problem with this film. It thinks it's a lot more... I think it thinks it's being cleverer than it is.
Well, that is The Matrix.
It is. But the problem is they go down a kind of weird meta comedy route for the first half hour or so. And if you're going to do that, maybe let's hire a funny writer. Maybe let's hire a joke guy. Let's get someone in who works on a sitcom who can write something funny. Because there's some attempts at humour in this that are painful. And, you know, it would have been so easy to just do another more of the same, you know, like The Matrix Reloaded, which, as we know, I hate. I wish they'd gone the full hog, though. I wish they'd pulled out and done it as this is Keanu Reeves as himself
Yes.
on the set of The Matrix 4. New nightmare, you know? Let's have the actors as themselves. Let's have some real, like, fun with that. Let's acknowledge the fact that Hugo Weaving is unable to reprise Agent Smith due to scheduling conflicts. I really respect the big decisions, big swings. It's nothing like the other Matrix movies that have come before it, or at least for the first half it isn't.
Yeah.
Everything about it is different. There are montages set to, like, pop songs. I don't think there's a single pop song in the original Matrix trilogy. I don't think there's any, like, contemporary music other than the score, you know? I might be wrong saying that.
I don't know about that.
But, you know, just things like that. Film language is different in this one. The cinematography. I've heard a lot of complaints that this film looks hideous, but I think it's very clear they were going for a like modern, oversaturated color palette, like you'd see on Instagram and the modern modern video games. The original films, lest we forget, are pretty horrible to look at. They're just green, murky green, and I don't want another murky green movie. And then we had a new Morpheus, and I really didn't like it.
Really?
Well, Hugo Weaving is recast in this as well, and it is vaguely justified with story reasons, but not really well enough for my liking. But Hugo Weaving, there were scheduling conflicts. He couldn't film the movie at the time they wanted to film it, so they just went, all right, we'll go ahead with a new actor. All right, you know, I would have preferred they waited for such an iconic performance. Like, come on.
Yeah, but if you got Keanu Reeves for a set period, like, that's what you're working to, isn't it?
I guess so, but I don't know. Wait 6 months and have them both, surely. Anyway, I get it, right? Scheduling conflicts, that's a reason. Big Larry, Fishy Larry, he says
he doing?
They didn't call him. They didn't even ask him to be in it.
That's interesting.
It was a creative decision to recast the role, and the reason within the film is that this character is meant to be. It's not Morpheus. It's a computer program version of Morpheus, as programmed by Neo into this Matrix, that is like a fusion of Morpheus and Agent Smith, and that just that doesn't come across at all. It's like, if you're gonna do that, let's cast an actor and have him perform it in such a way that it feels like a fusion of those two characters. But yeah, basically, they pretty swiftly it just becomes, right, that was the Matrix you were in. Now we've pulled you out into the real world, and everything's fine. The war's over. We live in harmony with the machines. There's no conflict whatsoever.
And then they go and fuck it up.
Yeah, and I was all right with that, because it becomes a mission of, well, I love this woman. I'm going to go pull her out of the Matrix as well so we can be together. And I thought that was quite nice. It's like, okay, so it's a very different set of stakes than I expected from a Matrix movie. You know, it's not save the world. The world is saved. This is like a little personal story about... Yeah, so like I say, it's a fucking mess of a film. I think it's a shame they couldn't tighten it up a little bit. Everything, you know, the script, the dialogue, the characters, the acting, the edit. So there's problems. There's big, big problems with it. A lot of it doesn't make sense. But I ultimately respect it for being such a big, big swing, for not just resting on its laurels, for trying to say something, for trying to do something new, for exploring our nature with... I've seen a lot of complaints that the whole thing is just a deconstruction of franchise filmmaking and our relationship with sequels. And I think that's a very superficial read of it. I think it was trying to be about our relationship with memory and like nostalgia on a deeper level, you know? I don't think it's just about Star Wars The Force Awakens. But I think ultimately it's kind of an ode to the power of love. So I'm surprised you are speaking as positively about it as possible.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, that's the least favourite bit of the Matrix. So you have to...
Well, it normally is for me, but I quite liked it here. It's like, all right, this one is an actual love story instead of a shitty romance crowbarred into a better film.
Yeah, I think it was because... in a film, you have to build two people meet and you have to build this whole story. And because you don't have the time to build it, it never quite feels genuine. But here, you're essentially just going, look, we've got 20 years with a like, even though if you actually think about it, you know, all they've had is the first film, and we saw all that.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just easier to go, oh, look, these are kind of middle-aged people who are looking back on like something they've lost, and it was.
Yeah. Anyway, my point is, I really like what it was. That it's a film. I like that it exists. I respect it for doing what it did and for being so out there. So I give it a very, very low, very generous. This is very much a 0.5 rounded up, 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm basically on the same page, I think, with what you've said, and I gave it a 7 out of 10 as well. It was very enjoyable and watchable for all its flaws. Yeah,
By far and away my favourite of the Matrix sequels.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, you'd have to go some way to go below the other two.
Ooh, Keanu Reeves, eh?
Mm.
But it's not Keanu Vember anymore. It's Keanu, eh? Let's just move on to The Kingsman. Well, this film's been getting a pretty bad reception.
Has it? That's interesting.
It sounds like you're gonna mirror that. You hated
do you know
Kingsman
what?
too, didn't you?
I did, yes. And I will say, I've come out of this film, I still consider Matthew Vaughn to be one of my least favourite directors. I don't like his
that's
style.
fair.
I don't like his writing. I guess he doesn't write them necessarily, but he's involved. I don't like his humour. So, yeah, I didn't like it. However, I thought it was a huge improvement on the last one. We'll get into a bit of detail, and I'll tell you some things I didn't like about it. But I will say, on a general thing, it went by. It was a bit of action, a bit of drama. I enjoyed it. I got into the emotional elements as much as I need to for a film on this level, and that was fine.
Well, I'm going to lay my cards out on the table up front as well. I think it's the best in the franchise. I certainly enjoyed it the most. Like, a lot of those issues that I had with the other films are still very present here, but they're not nearly as extreme. You know, the tangents and messy plot elements are still there, but it's a hell of a lot cleaner. The muddled ethics and politics, they're still there, but they're way more like corners sanded off. They're not quite as like, what the fuck are you even trying to say, Matthew Vaughn? I love a bit of Ralph Fiennes. I usually think, is he the most interesting guy we could have for this role in this film? I think The Kingsman, perfect casting. He is your kind of boring Bullingdon Club knobhead. Like, I think it worked really well. That is something actually I want to touch on. Like, one of my issues with these films and Matthew Vaughn in general, and probably the entire James Bond franchise, certainly things Calvin seems to like, is that I think they have no actual concept of what is and isn't cool. Their concept of what is cool is so alien and warped that it just doesn't play at all. And that, you know, this film is guilty of that. There's a scene kind of shortly after the moment we were just discussing where, you know, Ralph Fiennes, he's hit rock bottom. He failed his son, he failed his dead wife, a broken man, and they portray it as, oh, he's hit the bottle, he's been drinking whiskey, look, he's a mess. And to portray him as a mess, what we get is fucking badass Ralph Fiennes. He's got a cool beard. He's got a new scarf that's kind of a bit uneven. It's the coolest he looks in the film. He's there with a glass of whiskey in hand. He's like a fucking badass. And then Gemma Arterton comes in, goes, pull yourself together, mate. And then we're meant to have, like, next scene, the triumphant moment. He's back. He's pulled himself together. And he looks like Arthur Askey. It's a fucking, like, it's the most... It was the least cool costume they could possibly have given him. His hair's slicked back. He's got fucking round cartoon turtle glasses on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
And so that's why these films don't generally work for me. But I will say, this film, I think, again, kind of kept a lid on that more than the other ones, because at least this one is set in the old days with, you know, it's very removed, it's a different culture.
I want to talk about the guy who plays the kid, Harris Dickinson, his name is, never seen him anything else. What I want to ask is, is he playing an empty vessel, or is he just an empty vessel? Is he acting the most bland actor who's ever lived?
I think it's probably a bit of both. Do you not think? I think that character, I think it worked. I think I was not upset from a story point of view when his character died. I was upset from a pure human empathy point of view, you know? But it wasn't like, oh, this is bad for the story. We've lost. But
it was a
character.
very bland performance, is what I'm saying. It was, and there's even within you're creating something of an empty shell, naive young man character.
But I don't know what you could really do with that.
We have one other thing we have to address.
Yeah,
Risifan.
Yeah. Now, talking about muddied politics and real people from history and so on, this is probably the thing that sat least well with me in the whole film, is that there is a lot of mileage gained out of the idea that Rasputin is secretly, if not gay, bisexual, which isn't based on anything from history. It's not like that's a well-known little historical theory even.
I think the general idea was that he was a shagger. He would just do any, get him in the right place.
And a horrible, creepy predator. Yeah. But it plays quite unintentionally, but in a way that felt bizarre to me in 2021. It plays in a way that feels like it's demonizing gayness. It plays like this guy is a fucking creepy deviant. He's such a creepy deviant. He does gay stuff. And
I didn't think it played like that. For me, it was more to do with, listen, young man, you're 18 now. It's time to serve your country. You ready to die for your country? Yes. Are you ready to get bummed for your country?
This is my next issue. What follows is, it's in the right hands. This could be an excellent comedic setup. Maybe not particularly intelligent, but the idea that a James Bond, it's an inversion of the Bond thing. It's the James Bond seduction thing. Yeah. But he has to seduce a man, and he doesn't want to because he's James Bond. He wants to seduce a beautiful woman. Now, the problem with this is the first time this guy's ever had to do any spy work, and they're not established in a Bond way. This is, again, Kingsman 3. You send Taron Egerton into a mission where he has to seduce a guy. That's going to be interesting. That's like an inversion of the trope. Let's do that. But it didn't work at all because it wasn't just, it was this weird, like you say, I don't know. It's on thin ice, I think, the whole way through, and I don't know quite how I felt about it.
It is. It feels like it was sort of as far that way as you can get in 2021 without crossing the line. But it was a bit weird, but just a bit weird, really, and
also Rasputin is ultimately a complete and utter tangent. He I was concerned he was going to just be full-blown supernatural and come back after being shot in the head, but
he does magically heal Ralph Fiennes' leg.
Yeah.
And that's not just a temporary thing like, it's all in his head. He just psychologically made him feel better.
Well, we don't know that.
Well, no, his leg is fine for the rest of the thing, and he's
but maybe it was psychological the whole way. Maybe Ralph Fiennes was just feeling so sorry for himself. Because much the same thing happens later when Gemma Arterton walks in and tells him to pull himself together, and he has a cup of tea, and then he's like perfectly sober, even though he's supposedly... Well, I'll tell you right now, a cup of tea will not sober you up if you are drunk.
So, the whole Rasputin bit, and Risifan, who has obviously just been told to go for it.
He was having fun.
Yeah, he was having fun. Matthew Vaughn obviously loved it. But it was the weakest part for me. It felt the most Matthew Vaughn bit of the film for me, like his sense of humour and everything.
You know what? That's something, right? We've complained. I know you're not a fan of action, but the Kingsman movies are known for big bombastic action scenes, big elaborate fight set pieces. And I think I've complained about the previous two in that they're so digitally stitched together. They're so artificial that it sort of subtracts from the choreography on show, because it's like, well, it's so fake. I just can't admire what you've put together here, and a lot of it's needlessly fake. It's stuff you could do in camera. But I didn't really get that problem in this film. I felt like
he definitely toned it down.
Yeah, compared to the previous two, all the fights here felt largely done properly.
It still had its moments. There's still definitely a bit of a predilection to fake camera movements and stuff that jump out at me, and I don't like that. I do think that's a matter of, there is a bit of personal taste there, but for the most part it was scaled back to a point where it's like, okay, this is an addition to the normal rules of stuff, and we can just enhance things rather than going too far.
Yeah, that was it. And I largely quite enjoyed the action here, because it never felt like this is the entire purpose of this scene. It never felt like we're just going to stop. It felt like, all right, here's a quick
It never felt
fight.
like, ooh, look at this cool action scene, isn't it amazing?
It felt like, here's a quick fight relevant to the story. And yeah, they were pretty cool fights. I quite enjoyed it on that front. So there you go. That's another reason I quite enjoyed this film.
Well, overall, I gave it a 6.
All right.
Which is a big step up from the last one, frankly.
Yeah, I give it a 7, which is the same score I've given all the Kingsman movies to date. But as I say, this is my favourite of the lot. Calvin, that'll be interesting to hear what you make of that as well. One day, it is technically a spy movie still, so you know.
Yeah, I'm not going to rush to see it. My opinion of Kingsman has gone quite down, actually, and the spark of it was our initial podcast all those years ago, where Alan said some quite pertinent things that really stuck with me upon rewatching.
How come we never managed to get that influence on you with Bond?
It's gambler's fallacy, isn't it? He's too far gone into Bond.
Wouldn't that be amazing
too
if
much
we,
into it.
after all these years, we managed to turn him on Bond? He's just like, hang on, this is a bit sort of sexist and crap.
Anyway, speaking of Bond, we've saved the best till last, haven't we?
Have we?
No Time to Die.
Should we get Billie Eilish to introduce us?
Well, thanks for opening up our special James Bond Diminisode extravaganza, Billy. I know I say this every time. I'm a very big fan, so it's an honour to have you here.
I must have heard the song in the film. I must have heard her sing.
Yeah, you definitely did.
How does the song go? Do it for me.
Pretty much like that, isn't it?
No, that was fairly accurate, actually.
This is like Live Lounge. This is amazing. Thank you, Billy. It's so good to have you here.
So, Sol, you haven't seen No Time to Die.
Yeah, but I know he dies.
Yeah, which is the
spoilers, by the way.
Which Alan nearly buggered up on a live chat thing that we did. Yeah,
I don't
think
straightforward
nearly
said it. It was an accident, but you know.
I think he outright fucked it up. I don't think it nearly counts. In our brilliant Halloween live episode Spectacular, and those of you who weren't there for the actual live thing won't know this because I believe it got edited out, thankfully.
Yeah, I did edit. I didn't edit it much for the YouTube video, but that was one of the things I took out.
Alan did a hilarious joke when No Time to Die came up. The film had just come out. Alan hadn't seen it yet. And Alan just went, oh, he dies at the end.
Yeah, we were making jokes about doing spoilers because some people had seen it, some hadn't. And I went, yeah, no spoilers, but he does die at the end. You know, as such an obvious joke because it's something that definitely wouldn't happen.
Well, the thing is, it's not definitely wouldn't happen. I think it was fairly, 50-50 that he'd make it out alive. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I definitely thought it was on the table. So sorry to everyone who Alan ruined the film for.
Even when I went in to see the film, which was after that, I wasn't then thinking, oh yeah, this guy's going to die at the end. Because I thought,
because it's called No Time to Die, so...
Yeah, so I mean, wouldn't lie to you up front like that.
This is the first time we've covered a new James Bond film on the podcast since we started it, isn't it?
And we've been around for 12 years now.
We started the podcast in anticipation of this film. It got delayed so much we had to pad it out with non-James Bond movies.
That is not enough of a joke to me. Well, let me put it like this. I think No Time to Die is my favourite film of the year.
Wow.
Huh.
Which I wasn't expecting. I enjoyed it a hell of a lot more than I ever anticipated. Yeah, there was a lot of things I liked about it. I'm not saying I haven't got any complaints. It's still got all the usual problems of being a bit too long and stuff.
You have, of course, only seen one film this year, though, haven't you, Alan?
No, I've seen at least 6. But no, I think it got a lot right. I think it was a very appropriate end for this character that they've created since 2006, and I think it was a brilliant rounding off for this Bond.
Wow.
I was really happy that they had the courage to follow through on what they needed to do with it. And I think it was an appropriate ending.
Huh. The film is about, I mean, it's very difficult for me because there's a chunk of about 20 minutes, half an hour in it that is probably my peak of Daniel Craig's entire filmography. And I have a great time for the first 2 hours, but in the third act it falls apart so fast, and I mean, it's that Star Wars sequel trilogy problem of when they started it out, they had no real idea of how it was gonna end up. And obviously bringing in new filmmakers and writers and stuff, it looks back and then think, oh, okay, well, we can try and tie this in and try and do this. But and similar with the ending with him dying, it is very much like Daniel Craig wanted to do it and phoned up Barbara Broccoli and was like, yeah, okay, we can do that.
Yeah, it's your classic Harrison Ford, I don't want to make any more of these, so let's kill me off.
Yeah, but then as Cary Fukunaga, the eventual director, said, he was kind of like, well, that's a result, it's not an ending, so he kind of had to be the one to try and manufacture bits and pieces of scripts and whatnot to try and get it to a point where it worked. And I feel like that's my main issue with a good chunk of the third act, is that it's just piling on all of these different things to make you believe that this has to happen. Because this character's just known for getting out of all these kinds of situations. He's always got a gadget or something like that, and they really go into overdrive to try to convince you that this has to happen.
Is it like Uncut Gems, where you start thinking like, oh God, Bond, stop making bad decisions. This is going to bite you in the arse, Bond.
You can't just kill him off. You've got to have a big build up to it. You've got to have a big emotional
drop a bridge
climax
on
to
him,
it and
haven't
all
you?
that. So they had to pull it all together. I know what you're going at.
And I liked the new 007, Nomi, played by Lashana Lynch. I really liked her.
Well, I really liked that character as well, actually. That was one of my favourite bits. I thought they handled that whole concept really well. She was really good. And I think, they played up to the idea of like, ooh, someone else is 007? Ooh, and then let Bond play with that a little bit. It was nice. I liked
Was that like when Glenn Howerton had to basically leave It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia due to scheduling on another show he was making? And so the first episode back for season, 12 or 13, whatever it was, they basically got Mindy Kaling in as a new character. But then at the end, he just walks in. He's like, who the fuck? Get the fuck out. And they all just like yell at her and swear at her. And it was like a big
exactly
joke.
like
Like, you thought we were going to replace the character with a new character just to wind up the viewers.
I mean, basically, yeah, actually, it does sound like that. Yeah.
I think that for what she has to do in the film, I think she does it very nicely. I think there's a good bit of friction between her and Bond. It's exploring something that they've never been able to explore before because he's retired. And what happens after he's away from the job for so long? Well, this is what happened. The world moves on. And I think it's a really good...
Well, just the fact that he
topic.
doesn't shag her is a huge leap forward, frankly.
Well, they definitely tried to make him a one-woman Bond in this one, which is another one of those things I'd be like, oh, it's all woke, and it's like, well...
Well, it needed to be for the ending, though, didn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. I don't know if audiences today... It's funny seeing people complain who are certainly on the more conservative end of the political scale about Bond being monogamous, and it's quite like really? So you support polygamy? You're okay with that? It's just an interesting thing that people ruffle their feathers about.
Bond is dead. A new Bond will come up in his place, but who will it be? Calvin?
I think it's probably going to be someone who's not even really in the conversation yet. Much like how Daniel Craig, like no one really had him on the top list of contenders, but I'm assuming that
That's why I keep saying Rahul Kohli.
No one's talking about Sol Harris.
I'll be on the set of James Bond in New York, 007 in New York, and then I'll come out and I'll go, shaken or stirred, to be honest. I'm happy with either. Thank you very much. Because they're going in a new direction.
Woke Bond.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of complaints about that. But then I'll go, look, right, you were fine when I drank fucking Heineken, so get over yourselves.
there you go.
Do you want to give it a rating out of 10?
Yeah, I gave it an 8. It's my only 8 of the year. That's why I was saying I think it's my top film of the year, I guess.
I think I've said before that I don't really like rating Bond films because for me they exist in a separate space to other films.
Was that your Billie Eilish impression?
I probably would go 8 as well because when I look at the films that I've seen this year, like I did prefer Candyman, I did prefer Encanto. So yeah, it's got to be an 8. A 7 would be too low, though it is on that cusp.
Well, I don't want Bond to be our highest rated film of the year, so I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10, even though I've got
What?
to tank the score.
No, you can't do that.
Oh, just kidding. Bond fans, don't worry, I've not seen it. Sounds like... Ooh.
Well, that certainly did not encompass our entire conversation because we talked a long time about No Time to Die. I had a lot more to say than you just heard there.
Me too. Even though amazing. Wow. So that was the films of the year. But we still have a quiz to wrap up.
Oh.
Do you want to hear my? I do this most years. Do you want to hear my top 10 of the year as it stands pre-Oscars?
Oh yes.
It usually changes.
Go on then.
Number 10, West Side Story.
Ooh.
Oh.
I'll tell you what, right? West Side Story. The level of filmmaking quality on show in that film is astonishing. It is like Steven Spielberg firing at his peak. It's the most I felt he's actually cared about something he's made since like Jurassic Park, Schindler's List. It's just such a shame that he put that effort on source material that wasn't a bit better than West Side Story. There's like 3 good songs. It's all right. Number 9, they're really insisting that this is a movie. I don't really buy it, but I'll put it here anyway. South Park post-COVID, The Return of COVID, one of their little TV movies they did this year. It's really just a glorified extra-length episode of the show, but it was very good. I'm always amazed at how they managed to find little, ways to stay fresh. Number 8 for me, Last Night in Soho. Quite a divisive film. I loved it. One of my favourite Edgar Wright movies, actually. Number 7, The Suicide Squad. Ooh. Everything I wanted Guardians of the Galaxy to be, and it wasn't.
Oh, interesting.
Number 6, Free Guy, which I really wasn't expecting to like as much as I did, but it felt a lot
I'm really
more...
surprised at that, God.
Yeah, well, I was expecting like a kind of Men in Black, Ghostbusters kind of comedy, and it was a lot more akin to things like The Truman Show, I thought. It had a little bit more brain behind it than I was expecting. Not that it's, incredibly intelligent or anything, but no, I enjoyed it. Number 5 for me, Encanto. We've spoken about that. Number 4, Bo Burnham Inside, which, is it a movie? Is it no, not really, but if Eddie Murphy Delirious or whatever counts as a what they call it, a concert movie, then so does this, so it's fine. Then Candyman. Number 2, Nobody, the Bob Odenkirk action movie. Which was... it's so great. You should check it out. It's really good fun. Number 1, Spider-Man No Way Home. Glorious closure to a film series that kind of got abruptly aborted that meant quite a lot to me. Formative. So, yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. Not a great year for film, is it, really? That's your top 10, so...
2 of them aren't films.
Yeah. All right. Music quiz. Should we rattle off our quiz?
Yeah.
All right. This last round is song covers. So these are all covers of songs that already existed, recorded for films from this year.
Okay.
And of course, film and TV. Point for the song, point for the new artist. Maybe I'll give you a point for the original artist if I'm feeling generous, and a point for the film.
Okay.
There's 1,000 pretty women waiting out there. They're all living devil may care. And I'm just the devil with love to spare. So, Viva Las Vegas. Viva.
Alan? Yes, Alan, go on.
Well, it's Viva Las Vegas
Okay,
by Elvis.
it is.
It sounded like Richard Cheese. I don't know.
It is Richard Cheese.
Oh, really? Okay, wow.
Yeah, it's Richard Cheese and Alison Crowe, actually, but she hasn't kicked in this clip. Yeah, it's just Richard Cheese in the clip. So, yeah, no,
I mean,
well
it's
done.
just that I don't know
and-
what it's been used in. Some sort of comedy set in Las Vegas, I guess.
Well, kind of. I don't think that the people involved would consider it a comedy, but it arguably is. We have discussed Richard Cheese being used in a film on this podcast before. This was something of a follow-up to that. This is from Zack Snyder's baffling Netflix movie, Army of the Dead. Baffling on multiple levels, but one of the better films he's made in his career, I guess. Him operating at kind of the right level, I think, for his abilities and sensibilities. But yeah, no, well done, Ellen. 3 points, sir.
Aha.
Catching up with you there, Calvin. Calvin, you are currently on 9 points. Alan is now on 6.
Oh.
All right, next one.
Oh. Buzz.
Calvin's buzzing.
Is it from Cruella?
Correct. It is from Cruella. Yes.
Yes. But I don't know the song.
Alan, do you want to take a stab at the song here?
I know it. Yeah, I recognise it. Can I hear the rest of it? Hang on.
Yeah.
No, I do. It does seem familiar, but I can't place it.
Well, it's I Wanna Be Your Dog, originally by Iggy Pop, covered by John McCrea, inexplicably, for Cruella, who was the film's composer. I think they blew their budget on the incessant amounts of classics from the 60s, 70s, 80s throughout that film. So, I don't know, could Iggy Pop not sign off on it? Could they not afford it? But no, it's the hilarious moment in Cruella where Emma Stone basically performs that song, seemingly unaware that it is, of course, about wanting to have anal sex, wanting to be a power bottom, because it's got dog in the title, and that's the level these films are working on. They don't really,
I like
it's
the
like
bit where they all escape and they play Who Let the Dogs Out.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, next one.
Said the man to the lady.
Oh, Buzz.
Yes, go on, Alan.
That is definitely Electric Six.
Oh, well done. And of course, Electric Six are worth 3 points, as we know. That is a long-standing rule in these quizzes.
I don't know anything else about it. I
No?
don't recognise the song. Is it Jimi Hendrix?
No. I might as well tell you now, because I don't think either of you are going to... Unless you object, Calvin, I don't think either of you are going to know this one.
No.
That is the wonderful song Hey by Pixies. Classic Pixies song. Of course, performed by Electric Six there on their 2021 live stream show from the start of the year when things were still locked down, called Mood is
Not a
Improving, named after their song Mood is Improving. I did say film or TV, remember, Alan? I think it falls into that category, broadly.
Even you're not confident about that.
It's a concert film! All right, next one. Alan is on 9 points, Calvin is on 10.
Oh, is this from West Side Story?
Well done,
Oh
Calvin.
yeah.
He's
Oh, I
got
just
it.
heard it kicking in there.
Yeah,
the song.
that
I know
is,
what the song is.
That's the best song from the original West Side Story, being completely whiffed by Steven Spielberg. Really dropping the ball on that sequence. Didn't play very well at all, if you ask me. It's odd, because most of the songs are a lot better in the new version, but not the wonderful quintet from West Side Story. All right, one more now. The decider. Alan, you are on 9 points. Calvin is on 11. So it could all turn around here, but...
As the trees reach for the sun above, so my arms reach out to you for love. With your hand resting in mine, I feel a power so divine.
Was that Billie Eilish?
I'm afraid not, Alan, no.
Any American-sounding kind of breathless singer is Billie Eilish now, as far as I'm concerned. I have no idea what she actually sounds like.
Well, that is better than when you thought she was like a little chav from an estate in London. So.
Well, that's what I've learned now.
It's more accurate. Would you like to know the original artist? That might give you a hint. It probably won't.
Okay.
Well, that song was it's a song called "You're My World," originally by Cilla Black. Laura.
Oh, Laura.
Laura, love. Oh, an OXO cube on an orange. Laura, an OXO cube.
So I don't know what that is, I'm afraid.
That was from last night in Soho. It was Anya Taylor-Joy performing it.
Oh, huh.
So, you know what this means.
I win!
How do you feel?
I feel great. I feel so excited. Thank you for this moment.
What are you going to do now?
Do I get a prize?
No.
Oh, I guess I'll brag about it to Ellen a bit for a while.
Now you can move on to the regional finals.
Yes.
Wow, what a year it's been, eh?
Uh,
I would like to say it's, things are looking more positive, more upbeat, moving forward. But right at the end of the year, it all kind of went back to shit again. So who knows?
I've been all right.
I've been
I had a
fine.
nice holiday. I saw a volcano.
Anyway, there you go. See you around, Bond fans.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for listening. The review of 2021 is done. We are now moving into 2022. We hope you've enjoyed this truncated version of our reviews of films. And if you'd like to hear the full episodes, then you'll have to go to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Dim Returns. And for just £3 a month, what a bargain. Theoretically, as soon as a film comes out and we get to see it, we will put the review out as soon as we can. Plus all sorts of other extra bonus content on there and access to the Discord where we have chat amongst ourselves and talk about films and things. So do go and join in if you're a fan of the show. And for everyone who has been supporting us throughout 2021 and indeed from before then, thank you very much. And we hope you have a lovely 2022 as well. Bye!